Stop what you're doing right now. Whatever tab you had open, whatever thought you were running, set it down. What's coming in the next few minutes demands your full presence, not in an hour, not after this task wraps up, but now. Because what's moving in the spirit over your financial life in this season is not something you want to receive distracted. You held on. Through months that felt like years. In silence, while the money disappeared faster than it came in, while the promise started to feel like something you'd imagined, while people around you seemed to receive freely what you'd been begging heaven for, you held on. You didn't walk away. You didn't publicly unravel. You kept your integrity even when keeping it cost you something real. That wasn't stubbornness. That wasn't weakness wearing a spiritual costume. That was the single most difficult test a chosen one can face, to believe when the evidence contradicts the decree. But something has shifted. In the last 30 days, something moved in the spiritual atmosphere over your finances. Not in your bank account yet, in the realm where the actual decisions are made. The decree has been signed, financial justice arrived, and what you need to understand is that the enemy saw it before you did. That is why the pressure intensified. That is why everything that could go wrong in the last few weeks seemed to coordinate its timing. The attack sharpened, not because you're losing. It sharpened because the crown is close enough to touch, and what was assigned against you knows it. You did not end up here because of an algorithm. You arrived because what has been placed over your life cannot be cancelled by any man, and cannot be cancelled by any spirit. That crown they are trying to intercept today, it was never theirs to take. There is a particular kind of suffering that belongs only to the chosen. It is not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It is the 3 a.m. mind that runs the same calculations over and over. What's owed, what's delayed, what was promised that hasn't come, how much longer the gap between faith and visible reality is supposed to be. The body carries it too. Another no, another door that looked like the one, another transfer that never posted, another contract that went quiet without explanation. You've learned to absorb these moments in public without showing what they cost you in private, and somehow that discipline itself becomes its own weight. The cruelest element of this particular season is the timing of the attack, because it was not when things were at their worst that the enemy moved most aggressively. It was when things began to turn. The moment the breakthrough started to materialize is the moment the interference intensified. The document that surfaced at exactly the wrong time. The partner whose alignment shifted without clear reason. The words spoken in the wrong ear. The rumor that didn't exist last season and appeared now, precisely now. This is not coincidence, and it is not bad luck. This is what happens when the crown approaches. The weight of what is about to be transferred onto your head draws attention from every force that was never meant to carry it. The crown getting heavier is not a sign of defeat. It is confirmation that the delivery is imminent. The greater the resistance, the more precise the target. If you believe that today, if something in your spirit said yes to that, do this before anything else. Give this message a like right now, not as an engagement gesture, but as your prophetic agreement with what the Spirit of God is already doing. And as you do, make this your quiet declaration. Father, in the next 72 hours, give me absolute clarity about the exact next step. Not the full plan, just the step that's mine to take right now. Hold that, we're just getting started. Here's what I want you to understand, and here's why I put together what I call the Solomon Code specifically for this moment in your journey. This isn't a general program for general people. It's a precise instrument for the person who already knows they're in the middle of a spiritual war over their finances and needs more than encouragement. They need protocol. They need a system. The full framework is in the pinned comment below this video. What I want to do right now before we get there is give you something you can use tonight. But first, let me show you something in the life of a woman who understood exactly the position you're standing in. Esther did not move when she heard about the decree against her people. That seems counterintuitive until you understand what she was actually reading. She recognized that the threat was real, that the enemy had already obtained the king's seal, that the legal weapon was formed and moving. And her response was not to rush into the throne room in panic. She called for fasting. She waited, she prepared. She waited for the king to extend the scepter, not because she was passive, but because she understood that premature movement would cost her the very thing she was trying to protect. Strategic silence is not the absence of faith. It is faith disciplined enough to wait for the right door before walking through it. Now let's talk about what you're actually dealing with and what to do about it. There is a principle in Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, that does not get taught the way it deserves to be taught. No weapon that is fashioned against you shall succeed, and you shall refute every tongue that rises against you in judgment. The ESV uses the word refute, not ignore, not endure, not simply outlast. Refute. That's a legal term. It implies engagement. It implies presenting a counter-argument before a court. And that is exactly what this moment requires from you. The enemy's strategy in this season is not brute force. It is document. It is narrative. It is the weapon formed in language. The false decree trying to establish legal standing in the spirit over your financial life. The debt that seems to speak louder than the promise. The voice that says the window has closed. The story someone is telling about you that doesn't belong to your true record. These are weapons formed, and every weapon formed has a counterfiling. Here is what I call the reverse tribunal technique, and here is how you apply it tonight. The first step is to name the weapon clearly, not in vague spiritual language, but specifically and out loud. What is the false decree that has been trying to establish itself over your finances? Is it a specific document, a denial, a liability, a debt structure? Is it a narrative someone is running, in a room you weren't invited to, in a decision you weren't consulted on? Is it a voice, even an internal one, that has been telling you the blessing already passed you by? Name it. Bring it into the open before the heavenly tribunal. What is unnamed stays in the shadows, and the shadows are where weapons maintain power. The second step is the anchor prayer. Tonight, before you sleep, speak this aloud. Lord, I bring before your throne every weapon that has been fashioned against my financial inheritance. I name it, and here you insert what you named, and I declare before heaven and earth that this weapon has no authority over what you have already decreed. Your word through Isaiah stands, no weapon formed against me shall succeed. I am standing in the position of Esther, declaring the nullity of every false edict in the name of the King whose scepter never expires. Let the record in heaven reflect what you have already signed. I receive it. Amen. The third step is Esther's posture after the prayer. She did not leave the fasting room in a panic and start running strategy meetings. She prepared herself. She moved with calm, calculated precision, revealing nothing before the moment required it. You do not need to announce your next move. You do not need to defend yourself prematurely in front of every voice that's questioning you. Let the King extend the scepter. Then you step forward. Now, I want to be honest with you about something because I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve comfort right now. One technique, even a powerful one, does not replace a system. One video, even the right one at the right time, does not replace a daily protocol. A breakthrough opened by prayer can be lost again without the wisdom to govern what you've received. And that is the real gap. Not the lack of faith, not the absence of blessing, but the absence of the framework to sustain what heaven is releasing. You don't need more strength. You need wisdom. That's not a critique of where you are. That's the reading of the season. There is a shift happening right now from the era of the war to the era of governing. You've been in the war, you've fought, and you've held your ground, and you've paid a price for it. But the war was never the destination. It was the corridor, and when Solomon stood before God and was told he could ask for anything, he did not ask for victory over his enemies. He asked for discernment, the capacity to govern wisely. And the record says that the wealth came as a consequence, not the goal, the consequence of a mind equipped to steward it. What I built in the Solomon Code addresses exactly this. It moves in 3 coordinated disciplines. First, diagnosing the specific breaches, the precise points where financial authority is leaking in your specific situation. Second, quieting the soul, because a soul still running in survival mode makes governance-level decisions with warfare-level fear, and those 2 things are incompatible. And third, the Daily Proverbs Protocol, a structured engagement with the Book of Proverbs that does something most people haven't experienced. It rewires how you think about resources, obligation, generosity, and authority at a cellular level over time. I know what the objection sounds like. You've tried programs before, you've started protocols before. The difference here is that this was not built for the general believer trying to get better at budgeting. It was built for the person already in the fight, already chosen, already holding ground, who now needs the governing framework to receive and sustain what was always theirs. The full details are in the pinned comment below this video. Go there when this is done. There is one more thing before I release you. If you live in the United States, I want you to do something specific right now. Go to the comments, type your city and state, just that, nothing more. And after it, write these 5 words. My crown does not fall. That's your decree over this moment and your declaration of alignment with what the Spirit is already doing. And if someone in your life came to mind while you watched this, someone whose silence has been carrying the same weight, whose integrity has been holding under the same kind of pressure, share this with them. That act of sowing into someone else's breakthrough is one of the oldest patterns in the kingdom, and it does not return void. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't have to feel ready. The crown was assigned to you long before you felt capable of wearing it, and the delay was never about your worthiness. It was about your preparation. The pattern of delay you've experienced is finishing, not because the calendar changed, but because the decree in heaven is already sealed, and what God has signed no enemy can unseal. The Solomon Code is in the pinned comment. Everything you need to move from this moment forward with clarity and authority is there. Take it. May the wisdom from above be your foundation today. May your soul find rest in the certainty of what has already been written over your life. Until our next encounter,